Okay, this is the same section. Multi-step equations, except I'm going to be evil math teacher, and I'm going to add fractions. Okay? Evil math teacher and add fractions. So this is still Chapter 3, Section 3. If you want to put that 3-3 fraction, multi-step equations with fractions, that's fine. That's exactly what this is. It's just the second half. After this, we're going to stop. We're going to take a test over this. Okay, with multi-step equations like we did yesterday and with fractions. So here's what I want to do when I talk about fractions. Now, when you do equations with fractions, how many of you like adding fractions and multiplying fractions? Anybody here like messing with fractions?
I don't like
They're small. They're small? Right. Not most students hate it. Okay, so I give you two methods. You can either solve the equation with fractions in it, or you can eliminate fractions. Okay? You can do two things. When I give you the homework assignment, you can use either method. I don't really care as long as you can solve them. You can find A. I don't care which method you use. I'm going to give you both. Okay? Sometimes it'll be easier just to do the first solve with fractions. Sometimes it's easier to eliminate. Okay? Can you use both? Yes. Okay. Whenever you think, oh, you know what, it'd be easier to do it this way, I'm going to do it this way. Whenever you think, oh, it'd be easier to do it this way, I'm going to do it this way. Yes, you can do both. Now, we're going to do solving with a fraction. Okay? How do I solve this for A? Think of PEMDAS backwards. What do I have to do first? Subtract 5/7, right? I have adding 5/7 here, so I'm going to subtract 5/7 from both sides. Okay? 5/7 is just a number. It's just like saying A divided by 7 plus whatever this is as a number. So I'm just subtracting that number. Now, I can subtract because I already have a common denominator. What's 2 minus 5?
-3.
What is it?
-3.
-3. So I'm going to have -3/7 equals A divided by 7. How do you solve for A? I've divided by, what's the opposite of division? Multiplication. So how do you show that? I'm just going to multiply both sides by 7. 7 over 1 is the same thing as 7. These are going to cancel. I'm left with 9 equals. When I multiply fractions, somebody besides Brittany, tell me what I do.
Multiply by the reciprocal.
Nope. That would be dividing fractions. Try. What's that? No, that's equations. We just did multiply by 7 to one side, so we have to multiply 7 by the other side. Not cross-reduce, that's adding subtract. Or no, yes, you're right. Cross-reduce. Sorry. Cross-reduce, you're right. First step is cross-reduce. Can I cross-reduce at all?
So that's supposed to be an A or 9.
This is an A. Sorry. 5. There we go. Cross-reduce. Can I cross-reduce any of these?
No.
7? Can you divide 7 by the same number? Yeah, those are both. You can both divide 7 by 7. You get 1, 1. Right? Now what do? Step 1 is cross-reduce. Start writing there. Step 1, cross-reduce. Then multiply, marry the tops, marry the bottoms. So cross-reduce, marry the tops, marry the bottoms. Excuse me. -3 times 1, and 1 times 1. So A just equals -3. So that's method 1, just to deal with the fractions. You're just dealing with it. You're doing operations with fractions. Step 2 is eliminating the fractions. How do you eliminate fractions? Well, I'll tell you right now. This is how you eliminate fractions. You multiply the equation, the entire equation, by the least common denominator. Multiply the entire equation by the least common denominator. Now, you might say, well, that sounds kind of difficult. Okay, well, what's my denominators here? The bottom number. What numbers are they? 7, 7, and 7, right? What's the least common multiple, or the least common multiple of those three numbers? What What do all three of those numbers go into? The smallest one. 7. Right? 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 1. So if I multiply this entire equation by 7.
Won't you do it by 1? 7 times 1 is 7.
You're thinking least common, or you're thinking greatest common factor. I want least common multiple. Multiples are kind of like 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 7 times 3, 7 times 4. Does that make sense? You'll see, we'll do another example. This one's kind of, because all of them are 7, it's kind of hard to see. Okay, but in this one I do want 7. When I have a parentheses and I'm multiplying the entire equation by something, how do I get rid of the parentheses? Yeah, I make the little rainbows. What was that called?
Distribute.
Distribute. I'm going to distribute this 7 to all 3 spots. Now, so I'm going to have 7 over 1 times a over 7.
Do we have to show that?
Yes. Plus 7 over 1 times 5 over 7. You'll see why.
Okay, well, can we
Equals 7 over 1 times 2 over 7.
Can we skip the whole just like parenthesis things and put it straight there, 7 over 1?
No.
No.
Sorry. Now, I want you to see this so you don't miss it. Look at how, when I distributed, I put a 7 into each term. You distribute, that's how you do that. You put a 7 into each term. I multiply this 7 by each term. You see where that 7 went. Now, cross-reduce. So once you multiply everything, then you're going to cross-reduce. So look at this term right here. I'm going to do it in different. I have to cross-reduce. What happens to the 7s? They cancel each other out. So what are you left with? A over 1, or just A. That's an A. Sorry. A. Because if you marry the top, you marry the bottom, you have A over 1. A times 1 is A. 1 times 1 is 1. I just have A over 1, which is A. Okay, now we're going to do the next one. And the next term is right here.
What do we do when, even when we do that, we're still left with a fraction?
Watch. Okay, just a minute. Oh, you never will be. You'll never be left with a fraction. You do it right.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
Okay, so now I'm going to cross-reduce this one, and my 7s are going to cancel, and what am I left with?
5.
Now I'm going to cross-reduce my third one. 7s are going to cancel. What am I left with? When you solve that equation,
Yeah.
what do you do to both sides?
Minus.
Minus 5. A equals -3. Did I get the same answer?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It's just like when you go hunting. You can kill a deer a lot of different ways, right? You can kill it with a bow and arrow. You can kill it with a gun. You can kill it with a knife. You can choke it. You can hit it with a car. Okay?
You know, it's
You
like
can throw a rock at it
choke a deer.
to choke a deer. Okay? You can kill deer lots of different ways, right? You can solve equations different ways as well. It's just whatever floats your boat, or whatever Mrs. Numbers wants you to use at the time. Do you see that? So let's do another example question.
Actually, if you go to the top of that sheet.
Sure. There you go.
But I just wanted to see how you got the 7 over 1.
7, I just distributed this 7 spot. You need to see that? I just made it a fraction. 7 is actually just 7. And I put a 7 over 1. I distributed it there. Really? Well, you might not once we do the next one. Because I already had a common denominator. This one is a little bit different. Okay? They get harder and harder. We're going to do many, many examples, okay? So let's stay with me here. Are you ready? All right. Solve with fractions. That's what we're going to do first. So in this case, I have to add 5/8 to both sides. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do the other. I'm left with 6v equals 7 plus 5 is 12/8. Now I could reduce this, but I'm just going to leave it here for right now. Now remember, I could divide both sides by 6, but remember I have a fraction on this side. So what's another way to get rid of that 6? Put a 1 underneath it and multiply both sides by what? Multiply both sides by... Multiply both sides by 1/6. Okay. And then what happens? These cancel and I'm just left with b. And now I don't have to worry about dividing a fraction by a number. I'm just multiplying by the reciprocal. Now cross reduce, I have 1 and 2. Now I vary the tops and I vary the bottoms. I have 2/8, which reduces to what? Divide by 2, divide by 2. B equals 1/4. Now to eliminate fractions. Remember, when I eliminate fractions, I'm not going to write this in again, but I'm going to tell you. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the entire equation by the least common denominator. Well, in this case, they're both 8 again, right? Yeah. So I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 8. So I'm going to go 8/1, or this time I don't have to put 8/1. You see this tray? Because I don't have a fraction, I'm going to put 8/1. It's just 8 times 6b. Okay? Minus 8/1 times 5/8 equals 8/1 times 7/8. I'm going to highlight those 8s so you see that I put them into every term. What's that next step? Yeah, 8 times 6. My first one is right here. It's 8 times 6 gives me 48v minus, I'm going to reduce, what am I left with? Same thing here. What am I left with? Can you solve this one? I don't know which is easier, but I think that's a lot easier. You can just get one step here. I think that equation is a lot easier. So then I'm going to add 5. So then I'm left with 12, 48b, divide by 48. 12/48 or 12 divided by 48 is just 4. Divided by 12 is 1, divided by 12 is 1. Same answer. What's the problem, Trey? I know. Ask question.
No, I got it.
You got it? Same answer, different method. Same result, dead deer, different method. Right? I would much rather, I prefer the second one. Because once you can do it really fast, it's very nice. Once you practice doing the second method, if you ever take Algebra 2, you're going to have to know how to do that. In Algebra 1, I let you do it either way, as long as you can do it. In Algebra 2, you have to learn how to do this. And if you ever take higher level, you have to. All right, let's do another one. Now, here is when I highly recommend, you see how all the denominators are different? I would highly, 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 highly recommend that you do the second one. And here's why. Because if I don't, when I add 1/2 to both sides, then I have to find a common denominator. Add 1/2 to both sides. I find a common denominator. Then I have to add the numerators. Then I have to get an answer. Okay? And I would highly recommend to do this. I guess I'll do that just to show you why. Okay? So now I have 3/4 plus 1/2. And when you add fractions, you have to find a common denominator. So then my 1/2 becomes, my common denominator is 4. So this is just going to be 3/4 plus 2/4. So I have 5/4. What's that?
Ignore the 2 1/2.
Well, this just cancels out here. I'm adding 1/2 to both sides.
Okay,
Okay.
why are you adding 3/4? Or why do you rewrite 3/4 up there?
Because I want 3/4, I'm just moving this over here. Because this becomes 2/4. So 1/2 becomes 2/4. And then in order to get 5/4, I have to take 3 plus 2, which I get from here and here, over 4. That's how you add fractions. Common denominator, and you add fraction. Add the numerator. Common denominator, add the numerator. Question?
Can I still put that dotted line?
What's that?
That dotted line.
Yes, if you prefer that dotted line, you can go like this. That way you can keep track of what you're doing to both sides. So then I have x over 3 equals 5/4. I'm telling you guys, if you have struggled with tape measures, if you can learn this second method, you will be fine. Okay? So now, times 3 on both sides. X equals 15 over 4, because I can't cross reduce. There's your answer. You can leave it just like that, improper fraction. Now, my second method. Now here Haley might answer your question. Okay? First thing I have to do is multiply by the least common denominator. The least common denominator. Or I'm sorry. Yes, least common LCD. Least common multiple of 3, 2, and 4. What do all of those numbers, can you multiply by a whole number and get the same thing? 12, right? Because 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 6 is 12, and 4 times 3 is 12. Do you see that? The smallest number that all of those go into. That's what you want. And if you can't find it, if you don't know what it is, like Brittany she just said that off the top of her head. If you don't know what it is, pick the largest number. So in this case, 4. And write out all the multiples for 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, right? You can keep going. But those are all of them, right? Then you start here and say, okay, is 3 go into 4? No. 2, so I got to go to the next one. So I go to 8. Does 3 go into 8? No. Does 3 go into 12? Yes. Does 2 go into 12? Yes. That's how I know what number. The least common multiple, or denominator, is going to be 12. What number goes into, what's the smallest number that all three of those are evenly multiplied? You can multiply something evenly by a whole number. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, so I'm going to multiply that whole fraction, or that whole equation, by 12. Whole equation by 12. And here I go. So I'm going to go 12 over 1 times x over 3 minus 12 over 1 times 1 over 2 equals 12 over 1 times 3 over 4. And now I'm going to cross reduce. I'm going to highlight those 12. That way you can see it. When I teach this to my algebra 2s, I make them use a highlighter. I should make you use a highlighter. That's why I have, do you see all these highlighters? That's an algebra 2 when we run this. I would recommend using a highlighter. Okay. You read my mind. Brittany's using a highlighter. Okay. So now, I'm going to box in my terms, and I'm going to cross reduce. What happens when I cross reduce? These don't just cancel out, but when I cross reduce, what's 12 divided by 3? So what am I left with? 4. Because 3 divided by 3 is just 1. Now when I go to the next one, what's 12 divided by 2? So what am I left with? 6 times 1? And my last one. What's 12 divided by 4? So what am I left with? 3 times 3.
1.
And that's all you have to do and you're done. All you get, once you get to that point, now you just solve. So,
We still learn to solve that.
yep. But you can do this. This is just a 2-step equation.
Yeah.
You get the same answer. add 6, divide by 4. Do we get the same answer? Yeah, same thing, different method. I'm going to do one more example. Okay, so you guys can see me do one more example. Oh, I don't have an example, so I'll make one up. I'll do one of your homework problems for you. We're going to use the second method. I'm going to use the second method because I want to keep practicing. So I need the least common multiple. Okay, if I'm not sure what it is, I have 6 and 5. Okay, 6, 5, and 1, because or least common denominator, but this one's just 1. Okay, so I don't need to worry about that one. So it's just the ones that you have. So I'm going to go, do I know what it is off the top of my head? If not, I'm going to put 6, 12, can't think, 18, 24, 30. Does 5 go into 6, 12, 18, 24, or 30? 30. That's the lowest one. 5 doesn't go into 24. Nope, 5 goes into 25. Okay? So I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 30. And now distribute. So I have 30 over 1 times g over 5. Plus 30 over 1 times 5 over 6 equals 30 times 6. So I want to show you, I'm going to highlight where I put my 30 into each term.
So you're going to do 30 over, oh, never mind.
I could, but then it's the same thing. Just 30 over 1 times 6 over 1, so it's just 30
I didn't
over 1.
realize. I was thinking.
That's okay. Now I'm going to cross reduce each term. Pretty disappointed. You guys should be writing this stuff down. This is not something that you know how to do. Cross reduce. This box here, 1, 6. Divide both of those by 5. 1, 5. And then 30 times 6 is just 180. 3 times 6 is 18, and I add my 0. So if I marry the tops here, I just left with 60 plus 5 times 5. So I subtract 25. Left with 60 equals 180 minus 25. Yep, 155. Yep. Divide by 6. Can you reduce 155 over 6? No, you can't. Not even, not 3. So that's your answer. Okay. Any questions? Okay. A worksheet for you. You only need to do 1 through 6 in your worksheet. We'll finish it up later.
See,